Welcome back to Invest Insights Pro. The best way to understand why a philosophy matters is to watch what happens without one. Picture a garden filled entirely with cuttings handed over the fence by neighbors, each one someone else's favorite, none chosen by you, and not one whose needs you actually understand. It looks lush for a while. Then the first hard frost arrives. Today we trace, step by step, the story of Sneha and her garden of borrowed cuttings. Meet Sneha. She's 34, an HR executive from Hyderabad, and she had 6 lakh rupees she wanted to grow. So she started buying, with a simple, reasonable sounding plan, collect the best winning ideas from everyone around her. It felt smart, even diligent. But notice what's missing already, not one of those ideas was going to be hers. And collect she did. A finance influencer she liked praised a multibagger, invent 1.5 lakh. A neighbor swore by a real estate stock, another lakh followed. A trending thematic fund got a lakh more. Every buy was somebody else's winning idea, and she liked that. But she never once asked the only question that matters: why do I own this? Her garden was filling with cuttings whose roots she'd never seen. Then the frost arrived. The market turned, and because her holdings were a random collection rather than a plan, they all fell together. And here's the fatal part: because she had no reason for owning any of them, she had no reason to hold. Fear rushed in, and a garden of borrowed cuttings has no roots to hang on with. She sold most near the very bottom, kept a few out of pure stubbornness, and ended the year down 30%, telling herself she'd simply been unlucky with stock picks. InvestPRO gives the real diagnosis, and it isn't a bad stock pick. Sneha's mistake was treating a pile of tips as a strategy. With no philosophy of her own, she bought on other people's excitement and sold on her own fear, the textbook path to buying high and selling low. A portfolio of borrowed convictions has no flow, because conviction that was borrowed simply cannot survive a fall. The plants had no roots she understood, so when the cold came, she couldn't save a single one. Here are the warning signs to watch for in your own garden. First, borrowed conviction. Every holding traces back to someone else's excitement, not your own reason. Second, constant switching, a new tip every week, so nothing ever puts down roots. And third, owning the unexplainable, money in things you never actually understood. Each of these leaves you with no reason to hold when prices fall, which is exactly when a plan-less portfolio quietly collapses. First for you. You review a friend's holdings, and for each stock they say, a YouTuber liked it, my uncle swears by it, it was trending. Not one is explained in their own words. What's the honest read? That it looks fine, since they've followed experts? That it's fine as long as prices keep rising? Or that it's fragile? Every holding is a borrowed conviction with no personal reason, so it has no flow in a downturn? Following experts isn't the same as having a reason of your own. When prices fall, borrowed conviction simply evaporates. One more. Having seen Sneha's story, you want to avoid her trap. What's the single most useful question to run over each of your own holdings? Is this going up right now? What does my favorite influencer think? Or, can I explain, in my own words, why I own this and why I'd hold it in a fall? That last question exposes every borrowed conviction instantly. Anything you can't explain is a tip in disguise, and now you know exactly what to rethink before trouble comes, not after. And here's the fix Sneha wished she'd known. You walk your own garden and ask, of every single plant, one question: why do I own this, and would I keep tending it through a hard frost? Anything you can answer in your own words is a real position with roots. Anything you can't is a tip in disguise. Run this review and it surfaces the borrowed convictions calmly, in advance, instead of the market surfacing them for you painfully, at the bottom. Now run the audit on yourself. List every holding you own, and beside each, write in one honest sentence why you own it. Then circle every holding where the real answer is only, someone recommended it, or, it was trending. Those are the tips hiding in your portfolio, the cuttings with no roots you understand. Keep only what you can genuinely defend to yourself, the plants you'd tend through a frost, because that reason, a reason of your own, is the only flow your garden will have when fear arrives. Here's the heart of Sneha's story. A portfolio built from borrowed convictions collapses the moment it's tested, because you have no reason to hold. So own each thing for a reason of your own, not for someone else's certainty. 3 to keep forever. 1. A pile of tips is not a strategy, it has no flow when prices fall. 2. If you can't explain a holding in your own words, it's a tip in disguise. 3. Own things because of your plan, not someone else's excitement. Start planting a garden that's genuinely yours, free, with a risk DNA assessment at app.investinsightspro.com. Your audit score is next.